Hello, everybody. Today we're trying to go live
Hello.
together. Ryna and I are here to talk about something interesting, of course, as usual, because we only talk about interesting things. So I actually am fascinated with the concept of energy healing because the words themselves don't fully express what it is that the various energy modalities can do for us and how they can heal us, our bodies, and even our souls. So I really wanted to talk to Ryna today about that because I met her last year through her work. So I was interested in signing up for her breath work therapy. And after I did, my whole life literally has changed. So like I'm a different person from
It's always
from how
good.
I was. Say that again?
It's always good to know.
Yeah, no, you definitely. But I'm a different person from how I was when before we met and when we met for the first time last year around my birthday, which is coming up again. And what really happened for me was when I signed up for your therapy, I actually at the time did not know what it would entail, and how it happened for me was that I envisioned sort of breath work to be like breathing, like breathe in, breathe out. And I was like, all right, maybe it's like meditation. It sounded nice. So that's why I signed up. But during, I realized it was no laughing matter. It was quite intense. But even after just one time of working with you, I experienced just like a very obvious shift in my the way that I was vibrating and giving off energy into the world. Like I immediately sensed the people in my life reacting differently to me. I immediately felt a shift in how I was functioning in the world. And to me, that's a very clear indication that the energy in my body had shifted. And also, just from my own personal experience working with homeopathy, it makes sense to me that when we change something, even something small in the body, it's something small in how we operate, how we relate to the world, things will change. Our environment will change, and our internal um, processes and functions will start to change. Our cell division, how our bodies are constantly being rejuvenated, is going to change as well. And of course, eventually it's going to lead to healing because when we choose the right modality that works for our body, our bodies just recognize it and know what to do in order to find equilibrium and find the balance. So I'm wondering if maybe we can start by you describing what you do first and what your understanding is of how energy starts to shift with these breath work exercises and practices.
Thank you, Kat. I'm always becoming very happy every time when one of the people I work with describe how much change they got in their life and how quick it happened. That's the main thing. Because I'm a psychologist by my education. But then I was feeling this is not quite what I want. Something is missing. I didn't know what's missing. I started to dig into more modalities. I ended up using traditional, then I went to art therapy since I'm an art teacher by my education as well. So it's like smoothly went to art therapy, then, well, this is not good enough too. There is more. And you dig and dig. And for quite a long time, I had actually a hard time to describe who I am, what I'm doing because okay, energy practitioner, not really, didn't resonate really. So what is it? For the last few months I'm trying to find what is it. So now there is so many different branches of psychology coming up quite legally. So I think the word that fits the best is transpersonal psychology, which means you are not just get stuck within yourself, but you're trying to understand how you and everything else around you connected. So how to get this connection, how to get back connection that we lost. So we come out from this wall we created, because most of the time, what is depression? What is that bad mood? Whatever, where most of the society is struggling, it's so the feeling of isolation. And we think we use just a word, but it's not just a word. We isolate energetically. We are not part of this constant flow of the universal energy anymore. We isolate ourselves. That's why we're tired. We feel useless. We feel helpless, and all this chain reaction happens. So I wanted to mention while you were talking, I just didn't want to interrupt you, considering that you're quite good with homeopathy, and I'm so happy we met and we can help each other. When we went to India, it was the biggest flight I ever had, like 14 hours nonstop. And I remember how persistent you were about reminding me, take certain pills out of the, what's the box
The
you gave
kid.
me?
Yeah.
Kit. And to be honest, I'm like, okay, if she says I believe her, I'll try. But deep inside, I thought it's not gonna really make any difference, because when I went to Thailand, which wasn't that far, jet lag was killing me. I mean, not there, but when I came back for a week, I couldn't put myself together. And that was the first time in my life. Before, I couldn't understand why people complain about jet lag. So now in India, I had this feeling that it may get me, because, I'm not getting any younger, obviously, and things become harder to digest. But it happened like nothing. We went there, we felt perfect, huge difference in time. We came back into the stress, billing and stuff. It was quite easy. I didn't get sick, because I heard no one comes back from India without stomach issues. None of us got sick. So thank you. And I this is talking about exchange again. I'm so happy to have this exchange between two people who, use different practices, non-traditional practices. And by all means, I want to mention this before we forget to mention this. We never mean, I don't, and I know you are the same, we don't mean don't go to doctors, not at all. I go to doctors, I go to find out what's going on. I want to see what's going on. I want the machines to show what's going on, the tests. But then I'm not relying on the pills only. Let's say, I'm not going to tell the doctor's name, obviously, but one of my doctors, he said, I have to take antibiotics. He found some kind of virus, which is not active yet. And I'm like, oh my God, again, antibiotics. So I asked him 10 times, is there anything else I can do if I don't want to take antibiotic? Anything else that can really get rid of this virus? And he said, well, you know what? Take oregano oil, take 5 drops in the morning, 5 drops in the evening. It's going to work exactly like antibiotic. And my first reaction was, oh my God, why should I ask him 10 times for him to tell me this? Then I recognize if he tells it left and right, people will complain who doesn't believe in those. And we know some people just don't take those things seriously. They will complain about what kind of doctor you are telling us take oil instead of antibiotic. So go to doctors, obviously, but then it's always have, for me at least, I love to have alternative things to try. And so far, based on my experience, I'm over 60 years old now, and I, raised 4 children. I ended up doing the same thing for my children. Every time you run to the doctor and they give you antibiotics, and next time the same story, and then you're trying to figure out. So I'm doing this since I was like 20 when I had my children little, and you're slowly figuring out there are other things you can do instead of, to help the body to deal with the situation independently and become stronger instead of killing the body. So I don't know if I answered your question. So that's why I ended up having this, what I consider transpersonal psychology. This term really exists. I didn't make it up. But then this combination of different techniques that I added with traditional method using, let's say, body-focused practices, which is energy practices, using acupressure points. Of course, using smell was always very powerful thing for me. I knew smell brings the best memories, the worst memories. And when I tried the therapy with the aromatherapy, I realized, whoa, this is something very powerful. So this combination of these modalities, of course, including cold water, again, it's not for everyone. When the client, the person I'm working with, ready, I can do that as well. But one thing for sure, whatever I choose in this bouquet of the methods I create together, and I called it Anatomy of Light. But why anatomy? Because yes, we usually think light is something outside of us. Oh, we need to reach that light. But if we know techniques how to work with our body, we definitely will get that light within us. Is it easy? No. Does it require a lot of work? Yes. But then we have this dilemma. Do I want to live in fear, struggle, be sick, or I want to invest at least like 30 minutes a day? And it can be anywhere. You can do it even when you're walking. So there's some breathing techniques. If you know them, as you walk, you can use it. And then it changes all my life. I'm happier. So it's up to you again. And no one can help us unless we're ready to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you mentioned all of the various therapies that you do use, it's actually true. You do incorporate all of the modalities that you practice into your breathing practices as well. So when you worked with me, and then when I assisted you in doing groups when we went to Mexico for universal therapy training, I was able to see you in action again with a larger group of people. And I could see that you're using aromatherapy with essential oils, you're doing acupressure to make sure that you're adjusting as you're seeing your clients react to the breathing exercises, you're adjusting their flow in a way. But I'm really, really curious if you can talk a little bit about specifically how the various there's a little bit of like movement maybe of the, I don't know, it seems a little bit noisy, like clicking sound. I don't know if it's
I
intentional.
can hear it. Let me move the microphone maybe.
Maybe you're moving something in the environment, but I think it's okay if you can't hear
All
it.
right.
It isn't. I was going to say that if we can talk about how in your experience and in your education, energy shifts during these exercises. So when I'm doing the, let's say, breath of fire, right? I do this all the time. Thanks to you. You taught me how to do breath of fire. I use this for all stressful situations. So when I'm in the state of shock, or if I'm in the state of stress, and I in that moment, you start to feel overwhelmed physically, your heart rate increases, your pulse increases, and your breathing starts to change because you're now breathing more shallow, since you're on that spectrum of fight and flight when you're in a state of shock and stress. And so I noticed this about myself. I start to feel uncomfortable physically, but when I shift my attention to the breath practice, I notice immediately, immediately within seconds,
Yep.
my state starts to change. So I'm wondering if you can talk about that. What is the shift that happens, and how does breath specifically lead to that shift? What happens in the body?
I will be more than happy to explain. I want to clarify that the breath can be used in totally different ways. Some breath helps you to calm down, and some different prince. Well, not, but now it's all breathing some techniques. Some techniques help you just to slow down and calm down. Some techniques gives you more energy. So you should know what you're doing before you do it. So in that case, as you said, stressful situation, how the breath of fire works for it, helps it. What happened, as I mentioned, every time when we stress up, what happens, we create energy blocks, all this flow of energy that we should have naturally. Every stress creates block of that energy. So the condition we're all looking for, being part of this flow, so it will come and go. The energy cannot we quite often we say, I'm tired, I don't have energy. That kind of not very accurate statement, because we cannot be out of energy. Energy is all around. Now there's no need to explain to anyone. Look at the cell phone, what it does. It catches the signals that we have no clue it's exist. Energy is all around. So what happens, stress isolates us from that energy. So we kind of shut down. We shut down. We don't sense that energy. We don't allow this energy anymore, not on a conscious level. It all happens on totally unconscious level, even not subconscious. That's how our body works. Pay attention. When you stress, you're not breathing properly. You just stop breathing, you freeze. So all this chain reaction happening. So when this block is happening, deliberate breath, when you know how to breathe, in this case, we're talking about breath of fire, which will get back to the flow, which was, this is how we do it. We use our diaphragm. So when we do certain way of breathing, in this case, particular case, breath of fire, that weird way of breathing helps that block to, it kicks that block out of your body. You don't need to understand. Brain wants to understand everything. One of the favorite things, a part about breath work for me, you don't need to understand what you want to get rid of. Body will get rid of it, because when there is something that is not allowing your body to be in the flow, and as a result, your body is ill, you're stressed, depressed, whatever is it, right? When you start breathing, your body gets rid of everything that doesn't help body and creates problem. Isn't it amazing? Because quite often it's so hard to even find an affirmation like what I dream, what I want. A lot of people get stuck with those things. I want to be happy. Well, happy is very big idea. Happiness is something for me. It's totally different thing for you. It's very hard to be very particular to what will make me happy. In this case, when your body is not happy because of the blocks are moving, and you're getting back to this flow of energy. And I would like to mention the reason why talk therapy doesn't really help. It does some help, obviously, but it takes too long. And then you do 10 steps forward and then you go 8 steps back. Because talk therapy is based on, it's changing a software, basically. We're part of this big energy flow. It's a software work, but the body is hardware. So whatever is recorded in our body, it stays unless you find body-based practices that will help you in your particular case. And again, you do it once, it doesn't mean you change your hardware already. It requires some persistence, but at least that's the key. We know how to do it. So when we change the hardware, the next thing you know, wow, the energy software is changing as well.
I
But we
love.
can start with, yeah.
No, I was going to say I love the metaphors of hardware and software. I think it's so helpful, especially in today's highly technical world, because it's exactly what happens. The software is all the programming that you can't really you can't test for it. It's just how we are used to reacting to the world around us, what messages we tell ourselves about what's our reality, what's true and what's not true, because it's everyone's reality is very different. Even people who live in the same household, their realities are all completely different.
Absolutely.
Based on the programs that they grow up with, based on the experiences that they have within their hardware. And so when you say it like that, it really brings me back to working with homeopathy as well, because a lot of times people don't understand and don't even believe that it's possible to reach healing so quickly or in such a
strange way. Yes, strange way, right? Very strange way.
Yeah, that it's like sometimes you don't even notice what happens and then you feel better, or you don't notice what happened, and then your lab results starts improving and you're like, but I didn't do anything aside from taking these, little pills. Like what just happened with my dog. My dog, I took her to the vet for like an annual check, some parasites in her stool, and then they gave me medicine. And I was like, I don't do medicine, but I'm going to try homeopathy first, which I was going to give it to her if the homeopathy didn't work. But homeopathy constantly keeps working. So it's like, what do I do if it keeps, removing all of the harmful and negative, effects. So I gave her some homeopathy just for 3 days. I put it in her water, and it's non-medicinal because homeopathy uses energy. It's an energy medicine. So I put it in her water. She didn't know. She's a dog. She couldn't really make any kind of logical connections between what she's drinking in her water and how she's feeling after, or what is in her body. And then I brought a fresh stool sample to the vet the other day, yesterday, it was yesterday, actually. Things happened very quickly in my life. And then today I got word that she's completely worm-free, based on the stool sample. So there's the example of a tangible lab result combined with energetic healing, which is homeopathy. And that's absolutely, to me, it's still mind-boggling, no matter how often I use and no matter how often homeopathy proves to be effective. And so that's why when we talk about hardware, the actual cells, the way that our body starts to function actually changes. So in my case, when I did breath work with you, you offered that 4-session package, but I could tell the difference on the first, after the first session. I could tell even more of a difference after the second session, because remember what happened is I lost my fear of diving. And then it made me realize, like, if people have fears, like a fear that lives in your body, you don't know sometimes where it came from. It can very well be subconscious. Sometimes it's more like, well, I remember having a scary moment in connection with like jumping in the water, or something traumatic happened and you're aware of it, but you still don't know how to fix it. You don't know how to take it back out of your body. It's living in there. So for me to actually experience real changes, real tangible differences in my function was just like, I mean, it was completely, life-changing. Eventually, like in less than a year, so many things have happened to me that I never even, I couldn't even imagine happening. And then your thinking starts changing, and thinking is part of the hardware. It's not, it's even though it's like programming, the software is affecting your thinking processes, it's also the physical changes in your body that are affecting how you perceive what's going on.
That's true. And I wanted to add that some programming could happen, unfortunately, that's the case, could happen even not with you, but it came genetically from your grandparents, from your great-grandparents. So your hardware comes already with those programs. And it is not, of course, it's not easy to figure out what's happening. So the breath doesn't ask you to figure out. You just breathe and your body does what, as much as it's ready for that moment. Of course, it's not getting rid of everything at once. But when you're ready, it, just lets go a certain portion. Then when you're ready, it goes more. I would like to mention that when I was working with John Newton, I love this man. I really love, I don't know if you heard about him. This is a man that was quite popular in Hollywood. He was an actor. He's a very handsome man. Yeah. And at one point, he just felt that call. He felt the creation just spoke to him. He left all that and he started to help to heal people. He's amazing. I love him. When you deal with him, I mean, unfortunately, I didn't see one-on-one. He doesn't do anymore. I mean, I'm trying to do one-on-one, impossible. It's always booked. But it was a group session. So he mentioned something that I never paid attention to. He said people report most common side effect in a good way of breathing, and he doesn't do intense breathing. He's just going slow breath. He's going with very slow breath, by the way. Slowing down is one of the best ways to get to tune up with the frequency of the universal energy, slowing down. That's the best. So as I mentioned, depend what you want to achieve. So he's going very slow. Quite often he says, breathe as slow as you can. So then he works with the field. And if there's like 100 people in the field, everybody's getting that treatment. So long story short, he said the most popular reported health approval he gets, it's people with knee problems. When they're ready to go to surgery, they have damaged meniscus. They have like really situation on MRI saying the person needs surgery. People have surgery day. I'm not saying everybody had it, but it's a very common thing. So those people all of a sudden start experiencing pain, and not only pain. They actually, the knee functions, they can walk. Medically, you can't explain, but this is one of the side. And I have the same thing. My both knees has issues with meniscus. It wasn't to extent of surgery, but from time to time when I was dancing, it would give me a hard time going up the hill, down the hill. I would feel it, the stairs. But because I do this breathing, the pain goes away. But when the pain is not there, our tendency is to forget about what was there, right? We remember about body when it hurts. When I heard that about him, I'm like, whoa, this is what's happening. This is why my pain goes away, because I constantly breathe. And I can tell even more, my husband had issue with his, he actually had tiered muscle uh, here somewhere. I forgot the name of the muscle. I'm not that good with anatomy. Small muscle, but the muscle who's the one that's responsible for you to lift your arm, basically. And we went to best specialists and stuff, and it was hurting. So he was getting these injections to be able to somehow function and sleep at night. And he does breathing. I'm lucky he's sharing with me all these practices and stuff, and then cold water as well. So I don't know what exactly helped. As always, combination is always a great thing. Next thing we know, we're coming back from practice with Wim Hof. We were in Spain with him. And then we're coming back and we had a surgery day, because a lot of specialists said, oh, we're afraid there's no other way. We need to do surgery. We have to actually sew that ripped part together. And then he goes, listen, my head doesn't hurt anymore. Like, really? Let's wait a little more. So long story short, doesn't hurt. It's functioning. Medically, you can't explain. So we canceled the surgery. So I cannot now claim it's a breathing or cold water. Maybe it's together. So what stops me from doing it together? I do it together. Breathing is all the time. A cold river is 3 times a week at least. So it helps. Why not, right? So
you prescribed the cold river to your husband and he was cured.
Actually, another shocking thing, talking about our own experience, when I was dying, literally dying from COVID, doctors gave up on me. And one of my daughters, you know her, who's more involved in all those practices. And that's why she was able to get through, because she was dealing with so many blocks. This girl was trying so much and nothing was really happening, but she was open to try all these alternative practices, including energy work, breathing, I don't know, acupressure points and stuff. So she got through. She's a happy person. She goes, I feel alive. I feel home. And I'm very happy for that. And she said, we're talking on phone, of course, no one can visit me. And she said, Mom, so this is the right time. Why don't you breathe now? Why don't you breathe? But I have no energy. I have only enough energy to just breathe, to not die, like hardly breathing. That's the energy I have, no more than that. When she said it, something woke up in me. Even though my pulmonologist, when I started to breathe, I found some things from Sadhguru. I was lucky. Now it's not there. They erased it. But it was there. It was very weird way of breathing. It wasn't breathing I was doing before. It was very intense, very weird. I'm not going to show now, but weird enough to all the personnel to see what I'm doing. The nurses were helping me to calm, like slowly go on the floor, because you have nothing to lose. You understand you're dying. Doctors know that. They tried everything, nothing helps, right? So they would help me to go on the floor because I couldn't do it independently. So you're lying down on your stomach, doing all this weird breathing with your tongue out as much as you can. And the pulmonologist looks at me, he goes, with your lungs, I will not do stuff like this, because my lungs were damaged. 85% of my lungs were gone. So believe it or not, one of my daughters gets very angry when I said the breathing saved me. She said, no, doctors save you. Of course, doctors did a lot. They gave me oxygen. I was lying with oxygen. They did everything possible. It was not helping. So after that breathing, how I felt it helps, when I started literally 3-4 breath, like weird breath like that, next thing I felt like the energy started to run in my body. I could tell I'm waking up from that half dead, half sleep situation. So it saved my life. And They wanted to send me to rehab. They said, after what you went through, you need 6 months rehab. I said, I'm going home. And in 10 days, I had no side effects. I was good enough to fly. So breathing, again, breathing, and not only breathing, though, a lot of other things. And my doctor, he's Indian and very open towards all alternative things. He saw me after 6 months and he goes, so how do you deal with side effects? I'm like, I have no side effects. I flew to Ukraine 10 days later. He's like, no way. I'm like, yeah. So some things we can explain, but it's there. We cannot deny
Well,
it.
I think we can explain it because I think you just explained so much of what happens in our bodies when we use these modalities. And I just want to mention a few others that I listed. And this is by no means an exhaustive list. There are many, many other modalities that are all similar in that they work with energy. So we know we just mentioned breath work, homeopathy. Both of them work with energy in different ways, but they all signal the body's energy to adjust, to react to what the signal is telling them to do. And then that allows for healing to happen. Other practices, we all know acupuncture also where they stick the needles. Obviously, the needle is not being stuck into the organ that is ill. It's being stuck into points. There's noise again. I don't know if you're moving, maybe something around.
No, I'm not moving. Something with connection. I'm not moving. No.
I'm going to mute you for a second while I talk because that way, let's see if this makes a difference. Okay. Then I'll mute you, I swear. But with acupuncture and acupressure, the points in the body are being triggered that will then stimulate the body into healing itself. That's kind of in the very, very basic, simple terms. And similarly, qigong, tai chi practices that are allowing the body to move certain ways, maintaining certain poses, and then also breathing in specific ways. So those are just examples. Reiki is another one. I personally don't fully understand Reiki, and some people say like Reiki is all, a lot of these, because there isn't a conventional explanation for them, even though there's thousands of years of proof that they work. Because there's not a conventional explanation, very often in the mainstream they are not respected or not given the level of respect that they deserve and how well they can benefit us. But they all work in the same manner by triggering the body into adjusting, and then the hardware starts to change, as you mentioned, and based on that, the healing happens. And I just, we're not going to go necessarily into more details about that, except for that it's the body is when the energy flow is obstructed, as you were saying, the body starts reacting to that, and then it starts to compensate. And when it compensates, that's when we have illnesses and symptoms come up, because the body's saying, I need help with this particular thing. And because in our world, we are constantly suppressing our symptoms because we need to function because of how our lifestyle is created and directed, we're not even thinking about it. That's a whole separate, topic for a discussion. But I just wanted to mention that when that happens, is like the symptomatology is what tells us meaning our brain, the part about us that we can make decisions and go to a particular specialist and therapy. It tells us, hey, brain, please help me. I need for you to react to me, to adjust me, the body. And then as a result of that, when we do find the right modality that helps the body to heal, the energy starts flowing differently. It starts flowing in a way that is supporting of the functions of the body rather than suppressing. So, that's pretty much the gist of it. If you would like to add anything, I would love to hear.
I would like you to add, because you just reminded me of something quite important, talking about body adjusting. That's true. But also, why all these kind of shocking techniques help? ice water or standing on nails. That also helps. Like when I tried first time, I totally forgot. I didn't see connection when I was learning to stand on nails. Then all of a sudden, like I walk around and look at the same thing that I see every day, and everything seems so brighter, so much happier. And I'm thinking, wow, it's like in cartoon. This is like I had psychedelics. What's going on? Why everything is so bright? Then I took the thing and I'm reading the instructions. The light may seem brighter to you because you're activating certain points. But what's happening? The only way you can stand on those nails for 20 minutes or an hour, I mean, after 15 minutes, you don't feel it anymore. Really. You can stay an hour if you're ready to stay. But what matters really when you're winning the fear of your brain telling you cannot do it. Somehow you find your center, and then you understand I can win that fear that my brain constantly feeds me with. My body is unlimited. And now we hear this word quite often, unlimited, unlimited. It's not just a word. We are unlimited in a lot of ways. What limits us, our beliefs, our false beliefs that it's in hardware, it's in software, it's everywhere. This is danger, this is possible, this is impossible. So I just wanted to mention that, let's say cold water, what's happening? You artificially create um, the signal of danger. The body feels like the body is on the edge of danger. And when the danger comes up, look what's happening with civilization for the last few centuries. We're making our life more and more comfortable. When it's cold, we run to the hot place. When it's hot, we run to air conditioning. So we're not allowing our body to unfold all potential. Our body has way more potential. Mechanisms are way deeper than we actually do because we're not allowing the crisis to happen. So now artificially, when you stand on nails, when you walk on the charcoals, or you go to the ice cold water for like at least 2 minutes, right? What happened? Body gets signal it's in dangers. And what happens? All the sleeping protection mechanisms are opening up. So whatever is sleeping in your immune system, now it's activated. And when it's activated, it takes care of everything that seems impossible. That's what's happening. And plus, of course, you're opening to more possibilities, you're more in the flow. And being in the flow is very similar to, let's say, of course, we're going to have difficulties in our life. No one says you're going to be happy once and forever. Life doesn't let us be life. And it's not going to be fun if we constantly be happy. Then what do we compare it with? Happy and happy, right? So what happens? Stressful situations are happening, but you take it way easier. It's very similar to when you ride a bike and you see the hill that you have to go on the hill. Of course, it's way harder. You sweat. You work way harder to overcome the hill. But when you have electrical bicycle, you just push the button of this electrical part and you still go up the hill, but it's way easier. You're not struggling anymore. So having connection with this universal flow, you can call it spirit, you can call it more scientific words and everything, whatever it's called, whatever feels comfortable for each of us. That helps us to overcome those difficulties in way easier way. And what I also need to mention for more skeptical people, nothing new. Those things are not new. They existed years, like centuries ago. Let's say the breath or pranayama is the breathing techniques. It exists what? For how long, right? Pranayama, then the sanayama is the sound when you do yoga with music. Now we know what certain beat helps to get in trance. So when you know how to combine those things, so this is all ancient things that existed. The only thing we have, I don't know, hopefully it's bonus, I'm not sure though. Science is slowly explaining in scientific language. Science can now show the change of our vibrational frequencies, so we can somehow understand, because guess what? Our brain constantly requires explanation. And we can give some explanation. But still, we get to some point that after that, unknown is there and we cannot know everything. There's no way. And I'm not even trying to be honest. But those things always were there. Now we're capable of giving a little explanation here and there, but those things always existed.
Yes, that's such a good point. That I thank you for bringing up sound, energy, and also it made me think of meditation also, because meditation is putting yourself in a state of flow where the energy starts to shift as well. So for example, Dr. Joe Dispenza actually takes very, very scientific notes and measurements on how the body, and not just the mind and the supernatural and the spiritual, but the body changes in specific ways. You were talking about your husband's shoulder healing and your own healing after COVID. And even though it, in our terms, like in our limited ability to truly explain what happens to our bodies, even though we might call it miraculous, it's really not miraculous. It's just that you took certain steps and your body reacted to the message that it received. So, and then sound, of course, it has its own energy. I mean, that's vibration. There's specific frequencies that you can listen to in order to heal specific parts of the body and mind. And so to me, all of these really just point to the same thing, which is that when we start to change, when we allow and when we choose a specific modality that speaks to us, when we start to adjust and allow that signal to guide us, we do start to heal. And I just, even though there is a place for conventional medicine for sure, I think when we get to the place where conventional medicine does not know how to help, or we become frustrated with the same approaches that are available that aren't being successful, looking at these alternative modalities that have a proven track record of thousands of years and that work very specifically with our energy, I think that's really what is so exciting and mind opening and heart opening for me, is just seeing what else is out there, especially after how it has affected me personally and how it has been affecting people around me who do reach out to me for homeopathy, who reach out to you for breath work and for other modalities that you use. And it's just being up close and personal with it has really been a constant reminder for me of how powerful these techniques are without having to take medicine and without having to have side effects. And I also, before we finish, if you want to add anything, I just want to mention about you that I don't think people understand that when you and I talk, and when you're out there in the wild and you share your wisdom and you share your videos and the moments in your life that you're out there experiencing, how special that is. And I just want to thank you for sharing it with the world, because you do so, the level of aliveness that is in you, just the level of constant curiosity and growth that you experience is unprecedented. I don't know anyone else like you in real life. I only know people who are, like famous people who are out there and they don't have to work because now that they have an audience, they have enough sort of wealth accumulated so that they can just go and speak and present and have people follow them around and listen to their wisdom. You're on that level while still being here with us on Earth. And I just want to mention that we're very lucky that you are willing to share your wisdom and experience with us. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. It's very inspiring to hear stuff like that, because I would like to stop teaching and do only healing, because without fake modesty, I see how my clients change their life, and I see there is a lot of potential, and I know I'm not using all my potential. There's a lot of potential that's still there, and I'm trying to figure out what else I can do, but I'm not making it into an issue. I'm trying to be go with the flow. Let's put it that way, and that's actually something that I wanted to mention. Literally 2 or 3 weeks ago, I just went took classes with Dr. Talpis, our favorite doctor, and did a point of assembly, created years and years ago, of course. And so one of the main accents in this is what you do when you do point of assembly. Of course, I'm not going to details. Why this works, the coach is moving resistance from the client's body. Basically, you create a little bit trance, just a little bit. Client is there, he's aware of what's going on, but you remove the resistance. So the client gets back to the flow, talking about being one with the flow. It's that important because every time when we resist, even when we resist towards our illness, like, oh, it's my enemy. When you become friend with illness, as we see in a lot of videos and the video you just shared with me, you're not enemies anymore because resisting takes so much energy from us. And that energy can be used in more constructive way. So basically, this point of assembly is all about letting go of resistance and allowing the flow to take care of the situation the way it should be, the way it's designed naturally. Because if we turn the brain off often enough and trust the universe, we will avoid so many issues in our life. But because it commands us different things, and we're confused because before sometimes we think we want this, that, but turns out it's not coming from here. We think we want it because we were brainwashed that it's good to have. So now we don't have it, we struggle. But the truth is, I don't really need it. It doesn't make any change in my life. So just letting go of resistance. It's like, imagine being in a river, trying always go against the flow and going with the flow. Huge difference, right? How much energy you choose. So just, I'm trying to live like that, be in the flow. And that gives me hope that one day I will get where I want, really. Travel like a gypsy. Non-stop.
I love it so much. Thank you so much. I think we have to end now. I have something else that's happening in 10 minutes.
All right.
But I love talking to you. And I mean, it's really, truly an honor knowing everything that I know about you now. It's like, really appreciate what you have to share. I would love to talk more about a different topic. I'm really drawn to the subject of programming and how
Right.
how brainwashed we are into, so maybe we can meet again. But thank you again, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks. Everybody have a great day and be with the flow. Save
Go
your energy for better. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.